Welcome to Go Home Heat, a special event podcast. Survivor Series was tonight. I have the return of in-house Lit Nick home on his college vacay. How's the Masters program going?
Trying, but good.
Good.
Also for Survivor Series, because it's the grand crossover. That's why I'm here.
What is that?
That's right.
What does trying but good mean?
It means I've had
It's
a
hard.
very... It's not a cakewalk.
It's not a cakewalk. Okay, let's get into this thing. We had the Undertaker
30th
anniversary retirement thingy, although we did not see him tonight. They did do a tribute. We didn't see him tonight, did we?
He did not show up once, which is weird because I mentioned at the end of the podcast, or I say podcast, the end of the pay-per-view, where they're like, oh yeah, it's the 30th anniversary. I'm like, we saw the guy with the gooker more than we actually did.
Yes,
Mark
so
Calloway.
they did do a tribute video to him, and it was great. And as I was watching all those moments, I couldn't help but think of Taker, the character, being Vince's greatest creation. Taker taking that, because it isn't if Taker doesn't make it work. The Mark Calloway takes it, the character, and becomes this thing that makes it over 30 years. He recreates himself in the Attitude Era as I think he's the greatest WWE superstar ever. Stone Cold
wasn't moment, right? He was
right.
He was there for the 90s. Taker was there for 90s,
2000s,
and early 2010s.
And it doesn't work without Hogan getting it off the ground and creating this thing that puts everybody else out of business. Okay,
When you talk about wrestling, people who don't know wrestling, they say two names: Hulk Hogan and Undertaker. Those are the two names that always come up.
Right.
They don't know anything about no Kenny Omega.
Taker's the greatest big man wrestler of all time. He's the greatest character. I think he had a 4-year run of Match of the Year, 2 Shawns and 2 Hunters. So I mean, what are you gonna do?
Iconic look, iconic, just like general character work. Is very good.
Just incredible career. Now, speaking of incredible career, it was also the 30th anniversary of the Gobbledygooker.
Yes, that's right.
The Thanksgiving Day style. This is Survivor Series. It's a Thanksgiving Day thing, turkey thing that comes out, and R-Truth introduces him, loses the 24/7 title to the Gobbledygooker. Would later get it back.
Yes, it would.
We'll get to that. With I believe it was a chicken feed, sack to the head, roll up.
Yeah,
pinfall.
by Akira, and then...
Yes, and then chicken feed to the head. It was very good. Battle Royal time. As we pre-show, we had a Battle Royal. The stars from both brands, Dominic, Ray, Murphy come out together. We have the tag team from the Hurt Business. The ring's full of guys. We're trying to get through this fairly quickly, so I'm not going to go through this too much. It winds up getting down to where it's Hardy, The Miz, Gable, and Dominic Mysterio to see who will win the first match to count towards this brand supremacy concept that Survivor Series has been for a while now. Gable winds up eliminating Hardy. The Miz, who's the face of the USA Network, is in there with these two guys. Miz winds up getting baseball slided out of the ring by Dom, but what we don't know is just exactly how far the Miz was out of the, because he goes over the rope and he's laying on the apron.
But then he rolls into the ring and then he gets kicked out of the ring again. So technically
Correct.
he
gets in the ring, but nobody knows. Gable winds up having a nice little 1.5, 2 minute back and forth with Dom that showcases how incredible Gable is. By the way, both he throws Dom around and also kind of showcases Dom's potential.
Yeah, because
in the same scenario,
he did
good. He did. He throws Gable out, and then the Miz winds up sneaking up from behind him. And the face of the USA Network has won round 1, and it is time for a shot in the dark by AC/DC. Going out there on a limb, playing something completely different than ever before.
Not like AC/DC is the theme song for SmackDown.
Survivor Series. That's a different song though.
Different song.
Sounds completely different.
Are you ready?
I can do that song.
Shot in the dark. Are you ready? Shot in the dark. Are you ready?
It's the same. No, it sounds completely different. Okay, Survivor Series starts, and we have a men's match. First, we have the men's combo match where Seth, Jay, Baron, Kevin Owens are on one side, and AJ, Riddle, Sheamus, Braun, and Keith Lee are on the other. Highlights of it are Seth deciding he doesn't necessarily want to be there. He gets tagged in by Kevin Owens. He turns to them and says, "This is for the greater good." He gets on his knees and he asks Sheamus to bro kick him in the mouth. And Sheamus obliges. He sets out cold. 1, 2, 3.
Can we talk about that?
He gets out of there.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Okay. Admit it. Okay. I'm gonna be frank. How good for the greater good of who exactly, Seth? Well, because you think, okay, maybe this is doing him playing coy and get rid of the big man that AJ has on the outside. And he just takes the L and just goes home.
Probably for the greater good. Probably for the greater good of him.
I believe.
I think that might be the point of the Messiah thing, is that he
is going to be resurrected in 3 days.
Exactly.
No, I believe that he wanted SmackDown to lose because he feels like the show with the Mysterios going over, Buddy leaving him, the show is on the wrong path. So therefore, he sacrifices himself
for the. I see. Okay.
Much like he asked the sacrifice of Ray's eye earlier in the thing. See what I'm saying?
If that's the path they're going, I will accept it. But he has to explain this in
Well, he doesn't have to because he's going to have a baby with this girl. So leave. He might just leave, but he may come and show up anyway. Kevin Owens tells him he's always going to be a piece of trash because they've had a rivalry now since Ring of Honor.
Garbage.
Right, and we get a good little. Otis was interesting in this match. He is going back and forth with those of us who I want Otis to become more serious periodically. And so for him to kind of give you the headbutt in here somewhere and not as much of that, and then winds up failing and getting thrown out of this thing because of wanting to do the worm. It cost him a little bit of time, which allows Riddle to get over there and knock him off the apron, which allows Braun to put him away. I think that's a good little character thing because at some point Otis has to get serious. If not everybody's Big E, not everybody can mix that line between. Now Otis can be what he is and be entertaining. Yeah, that's fine too. You know, I mean, it depends on where they go with it.
Big E still understands to get serious now and then. And the thing is, Otis is on a path of constantly losing things. Like he lost Tucker because Tucker thought he was being overshadowed. He lost Mandy because of Miz. Ultimately, it has to build with Otis being like, if he can still keep keep that whole shtick, but he still has to be like, and now is when I have to take my own, like, this isn't going to be just a thing where eventually good things will turn my way. I have to take it for myself.
Because we did see him with amazing feats of strength in this match, and he is a former high-level amateur wrestler. So
him and Keith Lee had a good back and forth.
And he's in a thing with Gable. That could be funny or something else.
It's not going to be funny, but it's going to be something.
Who knows? After that, I believe we had a lot with Keith Lee had a really good moment, but I was most surprised by what was his name? He was on Raw's team. It's not AJ. It's not
Matt.
Not Matt. Though Matt was really good when he had a back and forth with.
Not Matt. No, Riddle.
Okay, I apologize.
Just Riddle.
When Edward Nigma. Sheamus. Yeah, Sheamus did this one thing with Jey Uso for a little bit that I thought was. And I guess it's mainly me more praising Uso and his work. Because this is like, basically Jay was like the last one left by the end of it.
Correct. We wind up with a systematic elimination of all members of SmackDown after Seth goes down first. And this turns into Jey Uso one on five. We got 5 guys.
Yeah.
And Jay has a wonderful performance, which you're talking about.
He had a super kick party.
Yes, and he has a great performance against Sheamus.
He almost takes down. Who was it that he had on the guy? I think he almost took down Riddle.
Right. Well, a couple times he had somebody put away, and then they save, and then he's got AJ on the ropes. AJ does the springboard. Jay kicks the ring rope rather than the body, knocking him down. But Keith Lee had tagged in. Jay didn't know. Keith Lee comes in, and we get
like what we think is going to be like the first pin of the match for...
Because Jay runs to the top rope. He's going to dive onto the Flying Uso for the win.
Yeah. And then
Keith catches him on his shoulders amazingly.
The perfect catch. Turns into Spirit Bomb. Boom.
Boom. 1, 2, 3. And clean sweep. They didn't eliminate one person.
Oh, yeah. Also, Braun was there. You guys remember Braun?
Braun did his run around the ring. He did the spot. He does his thing.
Braun was
I'm a train.
Yes.
He was screaming at everyone, "Get your stuff together!
Get these hands! Get in the ring and get these hands!"
So that was really good. I thought everybody got to shine, except Seth, which was a part of the character development of him.
Except Seth and Baron Corbin.
Oh, no, Corbin had his moment. He was the one who, he was the one who got the second real pin.
He hit 4 finishers and never got a pin on any of them.
He got, he hit 2...
Deep
what's
sixes.
it called? No, not Deep Six. The other one, End of Days. I want to say AJ or something.
Yeah.
Or no, he did it on Riddle twice.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter.
Not Riddle. That's the wrong team. Yeah, it was.
Riddle looked good in
AJ.
it. They all had their moments here. I thought this was well done. I thought the finish was neat because you don't see a clean sweep very much.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It was interesting. Now we get another. The New Day comes out in their Gear of War gear because they're into video games.
Gears
you
of
liked
War
it?
5. Oh, they looked like their entrance. We're just talking about the entrance. We're not talking about the match yet.
The entrance.
Oh, dude, they look so good. You can tell that the WWE was like, okay, we have to talk about the Gears of War thing. So the people behind Gears of War are like, here are these actual official, we made these for you guys to walk out to the entrance to sell our product, and you can tell that they're just having the time of their lives.
Right.
Because
living their
look at
best
me.
life.
I'm in a video game.
Right. Now we have the Street Profits, and they give they do a little Undertaker tribute thing. They rattle off his greatest enemies. He does the little Shawn Michaels, I'm a sexy boy thing.
Yeah.
Then he goes all hype video
On themselves.
about what they're
New
going to
Day.
do to the New Day, and I was ready to rock by the time they hit they did a great job of hyping this match up right there.
Mm-hmm.
And they come down to the ring, and then we have a banger, guys. What a match.
It is probably, this match and another match that we're going to get into later, those two are matches of, this is one of the matches of the night. 100%. Ooh, it was good. Anyway, continue.
Montez hit a leaping DDT in that thing.
Oh,
That was so good. Dawkins winds up with the hot tag, and Montez does a good job of selling and getting in trouble, which you're supposed to do as a tag team partner.
Yeah.
Dawkins is a great hot tag guy. He's fast. He's
quick for being as big as he is.
Yeah, for large man, and he's able to do that. Dude, he hit a Paradigm Crossroads thingy on somebody.
I was thinking about
on
that.
Kofi, or was it Woods?
It was on. I want to say it was Kofi.
It was amazing.
Whatever it was, it's this weird spinning thing where it starts off.
It's the Paradigm Crossroads.
Yeah, okay, Paradigm Crossroads.
Right.
I do also want to give props to the storytelling of the match, which was basically this whole thing about they talk at the very beginning of the match they were talking about how the Street Profits need to. This is the biggest thing for them because the New Day are arguably the best, if not inarguably the best tag team in the last 10 years.
Right.
And everyone skipped on saying Street Profits, they're you're New Daylight, blah, 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 blah. And so this is them kind of trying to
coming
prove
of age
themselves.
story.
This is their coming of age. And they start off hot, and then the New Day just starts going heel, which is what I found the most interesting.
The New Day went very physical. They went to Montez's body, which was the part I was talking about with the selling, to the point to where when Montez does hit the classic Street Profit finish.
Yeah, with the Fox
with
Splash.
him dropping out of the sky. His stomach was hurt, so he can't pin because he rolls away hurt, comes back. So we get a whole nother second half of this match that wouldn't normally be there if he hadn't have been hurt, right?
Also, there was this really interesting thing I noticed where they tried to hit the New Day tried to hit the midnight hour on the Street Profits, but kicked out because the one who usually doubles out the midnight hour is Big E, which again kind of adds that whole storyline that they're having over there, which is the fact that the New Day are kind of one man out because Big E ain't there.
Right.
They're still one of the best in the world, but they still are one man short that they are used to having. So it still kind of gives the Street Profits a bit of an edge.
Montez hits an SOS in there.
He hit a Trouble in Paradise.
And a Trouble in Paradise. Yes, sir.
He hit a Trouble in Paradise to Kofi Kingston, and that's when I was like, oh. Flashbacks to Kofi Mania.
Now the finish is Dawkins getting the blind tag. Woods doesn't see it, so Dawkins is able to get him up in a blockbuster in which Dawkins, being a fairly tall man, has Woods on his shoulders. Then you have Montez doing the float over the top of the blockbuster.
Yeah.
Boom. 1, 2, 3. And now we have the Street Profits anointed
Victorious.
as the top tag team.
Which is, they're the Street Profits are personally, as I've said in previous things, they're my favorite tag team going right now. I love the Briscoes, I love FTR, I love all of them. But when you allow the Street Profits to wrestle,
Yes.
Their personalities come out in their wrestling, and it makes like every match just feel like a whole other thing. And speaking of FTR, there was actually a really interesting tweet that I found by Mr. Cash Wheeler, if you want to rattle that off.
Cash Wheeler, who left the WWE, said,
Much respect.
New Day and Street Profits, thank you. Cool that he was watching. Cool that he feels comfortable enough with both those guys to say something positive. Cool that his work environment is the kind of place where he can do
he can say that. He can
fear of penalty.
Because like those two, like Dax and Cash, have worked with both these guys before, and they know how good they are in the ring.
Absolutely.
So it's showing us like, see, that's like whenever you hear them talking about like how they want to bring tag team wrestling back, that's probably like, see, you can do it if they allow you to do it.
Well, that's been the peculiar thing about WWE to me, is a lot of times in pay-per-view environments, they have great tag team matches.
Because they're allowed to go, because they're like, do whatever you want to do.
It's the way they don't pay attention to it on the actual 2 shows a week that is frustrating. But this is not that. That was great. I loved it. You liked it?
Yeah.
As I said, it arguably might be my match of the night. It was so good, and they ended with the little respected thing of like, even though like you had the New Day kind of going heel on the Street Profits, like they're trying to take our spot kind of thing.
Right.
It was nice to see that it ended on a like mutual respect, like even like I want to say Xavier Woods raised Dawkins' hand and like, look at this guy. It's
right.
Good.
Excellent. So then we have the Great Liberator, El Generico, Sami Zayn, versus the Dominator, the CEO of the Hurt Business, and the almighty Bobby Lashley. And this is classic Sami. He tries to get, because Bobby comes down with his cohorts, the Hurt Business. You have Cedric, you have Sheldon.
Looking sharp.
You have MVP all dressed to the nines outside of the ring. So Sami can play the part of the guy who, even though they are not interfering, he can act like they are. He does swing the tide on Bobby a little bit early in the match. He tries to clothesline Bobby, and Bobby literally runs through the clothesline, and Sami reverse pivots and spins the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm. It's
very cool thought up spot, right? Sami winds up, when he gets thrown out of the ring, he winds up trying to get the guys to interfere with him. I thought that was well done.
Yeah. That was very smart.
Sami winds up doing a spot where he does a callback to when he got vertigo against Lashley. What was it, a year ago, Ray? Something like that?
Several years ago.
Something like that.
Several years ago.
I remember it because it was the Lashley Sisters promo that was.
Yeah, right. And so then we wind up, which he didn't have vertigo. He tries to get a roll up on that. It doesn't work. He walks out, trips over MVP's foot. Then he decides he's going to walk to the ring and
what happens is like,
the ref.
the thing is what happens is he trips and he says, "Ref, look at this. Look at this."
Then
Bobby turns the ref around, and then MVP just grabs him by the back of his shirt and just throws him in the ring.
Right, in which case, of course, now Sami walks into the full Lashley, taps out, and Sami can come on to TV on Friday night and claim.
Which I'm sure Retribution will have no comments on.
Retribution's Monday night, though. But, so Bobby still won. He looked strong. Sami sold for him like a duffel bag.
When he sells, it is... I'm partially convinced he's made out of helium because he's just flying out of the ring.
Yeah, that was great. It was fun. It wasn't a great match, but it was fun, and it was
did what
the story it had to be. Right. Jay is backstage. He is being talked to by Paul first, Jey Uso, and then Roman comes over and lets him know.
Jimmy also shows up as well because Jimmy's there trying to back Jay up. Like, listen, you were fine. Like, it wasn't really your fault.
Right, and Roman dismisses Jimmy Uso because
be gone.
There was no reason for you can go, I believe was the statement there. And then Roman lets Jay know that he couldn't win because his team didn't respect him. If his team doesn't respect him, then his team doesn't respect Roman. And this can't happen. If you can't get respect from these guys, you don't have a seat at my table.
That is actually set up for the actual. Now I'm thinking about it in retrospect. That's set up for the final match.
Absolutely.
I didn't think about that.
That was cracking the door.
That was beginning what the actual story of it. We'll get to that.
Okay. Asuka versus Sasha is next, and they do. You pointed out the mat work early. The roll arounds was great. Asuka hip attack reboots the match as she knocks Sasha off the apron to the ground.
On a technical level, this was next level. And when I was talking about like two in the matches I thought were best, like this is the other one because again,
Yeah.
They were rolling around so much.
Asuka winds up pretzeling Sasha. Sasha pretzels her back.
It's a pretzel party, is what this.
It was so crazy. Sasha winds up with an octopus stretch on her for a little while, and it was just really, really well done. There was a spot where Asuka puts Sasha on the barricade to set her up for something. Sasha tries to so many quick back and forths. Sasha tries to counter with a Meteora, which turns into a code breaker onto the ground from outside the ring. When she rolls her in,
it was a code breaker to the face.
It was a code breaker to the face, right? And then they do some
all code
some
breakers,
mirror
code breakers to the face.
Yes, but that one looked like it was more to the face than others.
Right. I get it both ways. Right. Just really what as towards the end we wind up with dueling pinning predicaments like we had earlier, but early in the match they weren't pinning predicaments; they were just holds.
Yeah,
these are dueling pinning predicaments. They're rolling around the ring, kicking out on two, turning into another one. Very well done here. Almost that part almost kind of reminded me of how Savage in WrestleMania 3, how Savage and Steamboat continually put each other in quick roll-ups to try to get a win because they couldn't really make the other one succumb to their
usual
physicality,
antics.
right?
Yeah.
So they had to figure something else out. And that is when, as Asuka is running toward her, Sasha slides under the hold and manages to slip into a pinning predicament and get the win here. Amazing match.
Like this one was the most physical and had the most technical. I'm comparing it to like last year's Survivor Series. The only one that comes like this close to being like technically like that fluid was the AJ, Shinsuke, and Roddy Strong match in terms of like how just technically everything functioned.
Do you think this match is the best match out of both this Survivor Series and last Survivor Series?
I will say no.
No, yeah.
But that's my personal opinion on it. But still, does that mean it's a bad match? No, it's fantastic.
No. I think this was really good. This is what you know who Isaiah. Do you know who Isaiah Swerve Scott is?
Of course, I've seen NXT. I love it.
This is what he thought about the match on his Twitter feed. Ooh. Sasha versus Asuka is now my favorite match of 2020. That's what he thought, and he wrestles.
It's understandable. It's understandable.
Daily DDT, who I follow and I think is a good site. They're very clever. Always incredible, but he points this out. The technical wrestling, all that. The overarching story of Sasha having to dig deep to beat the woman who has always had her number. Sasha had to come up with a hold, with a counter to a move that she'd never done before that I haven't seen that particular counter. Mm-hmm. And she slides in there and gets it done. And I thought that was really...
They were kind of pushing that from the jump, like about Sausage Banks. Like she is in a different mental space now that she's like Bailey's no longer in her corner because Bailey just stabbed her in the back and all that lovely stuff.
Correct.
So now she has to come up with new ways to like find her own individuality again, trying to find out what a new reinvention of what the boss truly is. And like finally getting a win over someone as elite as Asuka really says something.
Now she's beaten Bailey. She's beaten Asuka. So that's high level. She's going to go into something with Carmella next because Carmella's been jumping her on Friday nights. But after that, they're going to need to find her something. And if she gets in there with Bianca, it's going to be on. Yeah, because they can tell stories too. Because that girl
hair whip is going to like knock her to the moon.
Speaking of Bianca Belair, now we have Nia, Baszler, Lana, Peyton, Lacey versus Bailey, Bianca, Ruby, Liv, and Natty. And this is a more traditional beginning to this matchup. This is a traditional Survivor Series match. Mm-hmm. Lana has been told Nia has told everyone never to tag Lana in. It's a traditional beginning with lots of tags in and out. Lana tags herself in. She hangs in there for a little while. They put her in there with Natty, who she trains with. That was fine. They tag her out, and once they tag her out, Shayna and Nia let her know to stand on these steps and do not, no matter what, move from the steps. You're not allowed to tag yourself
in the corner. You put your nose in the corner.
Right. And Lana plays the part of embarrassed,
sad,
humiliated, sad Lana very, very well here, which if you saw the documentary on her, it's really strange how the WWE, for a company that is not self-aware on a lot of things, can be self-aware in other scenarios And they they show this huge thing where Lana, they do a documentary on Lana.
Yes.
45 minutes of talking about her.
How she got
her
here.
whole life, how she got here, how hard she struggles, how badly she wants to be a part of this.
How she's been on the butt end of a lot of crap.
How social media beats her up a little bit because she's never been great in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put her in this scenario where they completely make fun of her. They put her through 9 tables. It's like,
9 weeks in a row.
Right. Now, then we wind up getting a very good wrestling match. Actually, to me, it got better
once Peyton got pinned.
Right. There was a little nothing against Peyton, but she's a little green as well. She
had that really good. Matches. She had that good thing on the ropes. That good what was that hold?
But it was almost a tarantula. It was very nice.
I will say this, however, that when Peyton pinned Bayley, I was shell shocked.
That was
the point.
I mean, yeah, but that's. I mean, yeah, you're trying to throw up how Peyton is a force to be reckoned with, and I feel, I respect.
Well, and you need Bayley. You needed Bayley to get out of there to tell the story of Bianca Belair.
Yes, that's
you know what I mean.
That's what's building to.
Yeah, right. So that was what happened there, and the Riot Squad, of course, looked really good too. Natty
chopping down Nia Jax.
They tried, and poor Liv. Now, Baszler does put Ruby to sleep. Liv
still pins her after she's asleep.
Goes crazy. Yes.
That's a bit weird.
Yes. Now, Baszler,
if I remember correctly.
So eventually we get to where Ruby winds up she's in a chokehold, but she's got a pinning predicament on Baszler, but the ref isn't there to count that, so Ruby winds up getting put to sleep in the chokehold, which makes Liv go crazy. Liv winds up, Lacey tags in, Liv winds up putting away Lacey Evans with a crucifix bomb.
Which was impressive to look at.
Very good, yes. And then Liv does pretty good with Nia, but winds up getting pinned. Then we have Bianca Belair versus Shayna and Nia with Lana not allowed to wrestle.
And here's
Bianca does fantastic in this.
Woo, Bianca!
She battles them back and forth. She gets put into a chokehold. She tries to do a springboard backwards into Shayna and gets caught in a chokehold, which Shayna is great at.
Shayna jumped up to get that.
It was so good, yeah. And then she crawls to the rope, but Shayna never breaks the count. And before she goes unconscious, at the brink of her going unconscious,
her arm goes over the rope.
As she does actually stand out of the chokehold, crawl that way, and then kind of collapse into the rope. It was so well done.
It was very good.
And then you have Shayna getting DQ'd for doing this.
Because she didn't break the count on 5, even though she was like, she's out, call her out. But
right, she could have let go if she was out, right? Anyway, so then we wind up with Bianca and Nia in a fight, and Bianca comes to a little bit, and they get some back and forth. But Nia was going to put her through a table. Okay. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was thinking, maybe that's why they pinned Ruby after she got knocked out. Was because that was why she just didn't let go. Because she's like, okay, this stupid ref ain't going to count it if I let him go, because that's what happened last time.
Right.
Okay. And then I'm sorry. My brain just like, and I connect the pieces that may or may not have been there.
Okay, that's great. So then we wind up, they fight to a double count out.
Yes, they do.
And so now...
Well, Bianca threw Nia outside the ring by the number 10.
Exactly. Nia never succumbed to Bianca's physicality.
And Bianca never
succumbed to Nia's size. Bianca throws her out. As she's approaching the ring to get in, the double count out happens. And now we have Lana, who has earned the right to be the only person left standing.
She's a survivor.
She is the lone survivor, like Gloria Gaynor.
She's so good she didn't even have to do anything.
Well, this is what happens. That's why bullying is bad for you kids, because you know what?
It doesn't matter.
People you bully.
And now Raw has won the competition between the two brands.
I mean, yeah, but this is where it gets kind of weird, though, don't it? Because, the Survivor Series this year, and this is something I noted, didn't really care about who won SmackDown or Raw. We had that whole big deal last year with NXT racking up points against the other two.
There was a legitimate Battle of Brands last year.
And the year before that as well.
Long build-up, yes.
Where they had, like, okay, SmackDown versus Raw, and it's always about who can get the most points.
Every year before this.
Yeah, like, there's a thing, New Day made a big deal about, like, hey, we won the pre-show, remember that? But y'all didn't count it, so technically there's 1 point on the board.
Right.
Yeah.
But this year, like, they stopped counting. There wasn't even a counter this year at once.
Right.
Which
is, I mean, like,
do you want to hear my theory on that?
There's a theory on it, but I will say, like, even though, like, that it bothered me, I also particularly didn't care because the matches were just really good. But it was still a weird thing. But what is your theory on it, though?
My theory on it is that they allowed the main event to be the main event.
That's why I think it was a smart idea.
They ended. They thought to themselves, Raw needs to save face. We're going to give them the most wins. But the main thing is, this Drew left Raw to stalk Roman on SmackDown, told him, I'm going to get a belt and I'm coming for you. He goes and gets the belt. He's coming for him. This was an anointing in its own way.
Yes.
And the storytelling of two different characters on two different shows culminating. And that outweighed
the need for, like, brand supremacy. Because Drew and Roman put together something that was more like, we care more about...
This is about us and who's the king of this show. Because
like, we're going to talk about it when we get there, but this, like, much like how the Prophets were about respect, this is about respect in another way. Like, we were talking about earlier how Roman made a big deal about what respect meant to Jay whenever he lost. Like, if they don't fear you, if they don't know you, if you don't get wins, they won't respect you. If they don't respect you, they don't respect me, showing another insecurity that he has, no doubt due to the fact that he's been booed for God knows how long, and it continues to get booed. So it's a thing like, I'm going to get the respect that you have all refused me. Which then, who should show up to show him no respect? The same guy who beat him down that everyone suddenly loves. Like last year when he came back from leukemia, who's the guy who just randomly started beating him up? Drew McIntyre. Who comes to his show and starts talking smack about how I'm going to beat you, Roman Reigns? Drew McIntyre, the person who was always the person who just gives him no respect at all. I've got no respect. I can't do Rodney Dangerfield. I'm sorry, King.
And so we have our main event of the evening, and it begins with Drew out physicaling Roman early.
Yes.
And Roman is both these guys are really good at selling for the other guy when they're fighting somebody big. Mm-hmm. And they do a good job here of that. Roman stalks methodically when he gets on top. Drew is a little quicker, but still very, like I said, they just have no problem just hitting each other. Mm-hmm. Roman, you pointed out Roman does a very good job of being slow and methodical and then explosive.
The thing that they both do.
Drew can do it too very well. Right. Now we wind up with, we have a hoss fight here, and it's really good. But Roman's not as big as Drew.
No, he's not.
Right. But he is a tough guy. He's always been a tough guy. And as you had said, we've seen both these guys go through a bunch of F5s from Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. They've both proven their toughness on the biggest stages that this company has to offer.
Yeah, it's the thing where, like, I was kind of talking about this earlier, the discussion about, like, Roman desperately seeking respect from the one person who could maybe be his equal. Because there's a point for me, the match really came alive at one point when Roman was screaming, like, you're number 2, I'm number 1. It's like he's yelling that at Drew, but he's more of just yelling it at himself, being like, no, I'm number 1. You're not better than me just because everyone else loves you. I'm better than you.
Correct. Outside of the ring,
mm-hmm.
Roman Reigns is uber confident.
Yes.
And he gives that every bit of it. In these matches, he has had moments where, like you said, he over talks almost like he's talking himself into being who he thinks he is.
Yeah.
And it's really well done on his part. It's almost he doth protest too much type scenario. But anyway, Roman gets him going there. We think maybe Roman's got a shot here, putting him away, and we get the Superman punch is retaliated with a Glasgow kick. He counters it. He never gets hit. Then we get the boot by Roman. Then we get a future shock DDT, a 1-2 just about finish. We get a Claymore, again, kick to the face, He's good. He makes it through that. Then he winds up coming in and getting a boot to... Drew winds up coming in and getting a boot to the face, a throw into the post. The tide is turned. Drew winds up trying to run in there, and Roman tries to spear Drew, and he counters it with some form of a rollover Kimura. They come out of it. It was so good for a big man to do that.
Props to both of them for somehow managing to do that.
It was so good. Luckily for Roman, he's by the ropes. He reaches in, grabs him. They fight their way to the outside of the ring. Roman tries to Samoan drop Drew through the table. He doesn't get it done. He
try again.
What
and
did you
does it
say?
the second time.
Only Nia Jax is capable of that?
What did I say? No, I said something like it only
through a Samoan drop.
Yeah.
Does it break?
So then he braces himself and gives Drew a Samoan drop, puts him through the table. Then he winds up backing out. They're staring at each other even though Drew is hurt. When he struggles to his feet, Roman spears him through the barricade, rolls him into the ring. Drew kicks out.
Because, again, this is someone who matches him. He's the one guy, like, if Brock can dish out F5s and these two can kick out of, like, 50 of them, it's going to take more than just, like, one single thing to knock them out.
Then we get the Claymore counter to a spear. And
then
we get the shenanigans.
That's when, I want to say it was a Claymore kick that knocked Roman to the side where the Roman
gets knocked into the ref.
Yeah, Roman accidentally elbows the ref. Ref smacks against the barricade and
falls out of the ring. All of that. And so then Jay comes running down.
Tries to hit him.
Gets punched.
Misses because Drew sees this coming, just knocks him.
Roman hits Drew. Roman dingling punches Drew. Jey Uso super kicks Drew. Roman Superman punches him again. We get a Superman punch, super kick, dingling punch.
Combo breaker.
Right, and then we wind up with him still kicking out.
Well, I mean, no, there was no ref there. It took him.
You're right. The referee had to run down from the outside. Right,
and that's when we had
he had the guillotine on Drew. Drew's been in it. He struggles to his feet. We think maybe we get more match. No, he collapses. He succumbs to the guillotine chokehold. Roman wins. At this point, I was kind of frustrated because I wished we didn't get the Jay run in. I would have been okay with the ref falling out, and even with Roman kicking him, I didn't want the Jay run in. But they kind of saved that at the end.
Yeah,
because
Roman goes up the.
Jay is sitting on the steps, or underneath the Titantron. Roman walks to him and he says, "What did I tell you?" As in, you shouldn't have been here, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe that's not what he meant by that. What he may have meant by that is they have to fear us. Mm-hmm. That's what I told you. Because then Jay retorts, "I got you." And then Roman says, "I know," and there's the embrace. Mm-hmm. And we have the Bloodline group now
firmly established
at the top of the pecking order of the company. What did you think, A, of this match?
A of the match, and what is the B? So I can know
the storyline going forward for both these stars.
That's a good question. The match itself for me started off a bit slow because I was going in with the hype kind of thing of like we just came off this really high energy kind of thing out of the women's thing, even though it ended kind of strange. And then like you get this huge hype package of like here's like who's gonna be like proving respect, and I assumed automatically kind of foolishly I was like, okay, this is where Drew gets all cocky and then just this Roman just annihilates him. Mm-hmm. But I was pleasantly surprised with, like, once I got to that one point, once I knew what the match was actually trying to be, and it's turned around on me. So I thought it was pretty good. It's pretty good. I think storyline wise, it's interesting about where it takes Roman, but I'm curious about where it takes Drew, because Drew has a lot going on Raw right now, and now he has a loss to Roman after he looked for him. So maybe this is the thing where he's like, maybe I shouldn't try and bite off too much than I can chew, or is he going to go after Roman again? Even though they're on different brands, and that should be
he won't go after Roman.
And also because like he's still talking about biting off more than you can chew. The man still's got the Fiend on him and the Miz on him, and Randy, I'm sure, hasn't forgotten.
Right. Now, Drew's character is such that it's brush myself off, let's fight all over again.
Yeah.
So I don't think this hurts him. I think the whole purpose of Jay coming down
So it was to protect him.
Was to protect Drew.
I mean, again, don't get me wrong.
Which is what annoys me a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But by the same token, I get it. Okay? Roman and Jay are the most interesting thing in the whole world of pro wrestling.
Like, while I was talking about Drew mainly for that one section, that's because I was worried and nervous about, like, where they might be taking him after this. Because this was automatically going to be what was happening. I agreed, like, Roman needed to win. This was like the way he lost was always just kind of like, that was a weird thing to do. But with Roman and Jay, there is a lot to go for, and I think they have nowhere to go but up.
Right. You don't have to worry about that section.
Yeah, I don't got to worry about nothing.
Right. Now, The Miz, I think with Drew, you don't have to worry. Because Drew has an issue with The Fiend and with The Miz coming up.
Yeah.
And that's interesting as well, right? What did you think about it, Ray?
I thought it was really good. It's one of my favorite matches Drew's had. It's one of my favorite matches Roman's had, at least in a while.
Roman versus Buddy Murphy was still fantastic. How dare you? I remember that.
Well, he said one of.
One of. That's true.
One of.
I don't even remember that.
I do, because it was amazing. You need to rewatch it. Everyone needs to rewatch Buddy versus Roman when they had that one little bit on SmackDown.
Right. Now, a little bit of business here. We were wrong about Taker. We
jumped the gun.
Taker
something came up while we were recording.
Yeah.
Right. So we looked at it. We stopped. We went and rewatched that part of it. Taker comes out. He says, "The time has come for me
to rest.
To let the Undertaker rest in peace." And he goes away. Now, what's crazy is, okay, I saw Taker Hunter, the first one, in the Georgia Dome.
Yeah.
Ray and I saw the Orlando match with Roman where Taker supposedly had retired because his hip was bad and he had a rough performance. Yeah. He was frustrated. He folds up his jacket and his hat, puts his hat on top of his jacket, and he leaves him in the ring.
Kisses his wife and leaves.
Okay. When we're leaving the arena that night, grown men are crying like babies. And I got it. Mm-hmm. It was a big, big moment. And I get that Roman came. I get that Taker had the hip worked on, felt better.
It's like,
came
I want to
back
do it again.
And wanted to go out his way.
Mm-hmm.
I get that this thing. I read this interview with Shawn Michaels where Shawn said, the greatest thing Taker could have ever done for me was he gave me a match where I could walk away from all this. Because I knew I couldn't do that again. It was a perfect ending to a great career.
Yeah.
If we forget about Saudi.
I don't think Shawn thinks about Saudi.
I think
Shawn didn't want to wrestle in Saudi.
He said that in the match, like, we are too old for this.
I think he forgot about when he hit his head on the floor.
Wow.
I don't think Shawn wanted to be there. I'll be honest with you. I think that was, I worked for Vince. Vince told me I need to come on.
I work in NXT. I have a good time.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Saudi where?
Right. So, but my point here is, he said, I hope that Taker can find peace.
Yes.
And that AJ match did that for him. He said, because Mark Calloway, he said, is a smart guy. There's no reason for him to have to continue to beat his body up like this to give us these. Because Taker would wrestle 4 times a year or 3 times a year, and they would be brutal matches. Mm-hmm. Sometimes for the right reasons, and sometimes because Goldberg dropped him on his head, or he dropped Goldberg, that kind of thing. Or the Roman thing where he may have Roman wrestles physical. Roman had gone through programs with Brock. You know what I mean? So it's tough.
Very stiff.
Now, like
and this was before he was more refined.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I will say, good for Undertaker. Greatest career. He's given me some of the great moments of a wrestling fan. I appreciate him very much. But I want to get back to Survivor Series, this event.
Yes.
What did we think of this event altogether?
I'll let you guys go, and then I'll have my 5 cents. Let's let Ray go, then I'll go, then you go.
Super solid.
Super solid.
Super solid, super showdown.
Oh, no.
Don't say super showdown.
I'm talking about the one in Australia. The one in Australia.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm stranded on an airplane. No, wait, what?
Well, actually, on that note,
weren't they, held hostage?
Listen.
Whatever you call it.
Hostage.
Potato. Hostage.
Tomato. Hostage.
Hostage are birds on the runway. Whatever you call it.
It was the gobbledygook.
Same thing.
He was getting ready for this.
Those men with machine guns are going to shoot towards the birds to clear the runway. Don't worry. Okay, back to the matter.
This cannot air anywhere. But in all seriousness, I do think this is a really solid Survivor Series, but, and this is the big but here for me, after you opened that Pandora's box last year, when you let NXT, that made the entire event seem huge. And don't get me wrong, the Survivor Series this year was huge because of Drew versus Roman.
Right.
Because they made it that way.
Right.
But with that lack of that third X, jokes aside, X element, NXT element.
Yeah, I get it.
But it felt like there was like, it didn't have that large new feel that it suddenly had.
Right.
So again, were the matches fantastic? Yes, 100%. But in that same vein, I remember much more of the matches from last year than do this year, except for Sasha, except for the Street Profits. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. What were we gonna say?
I also think that, does NXT not being at Survivor Series this year mean that they're not a brand anymore?
I mean,
No, I don't
no.
think so.
I mean, again, it's like a whole different thing. Like, because they're having Takeover, which that being said,
They're having
really
War Games.
excited for
War Games is gonna be awesome, right? Here's what I think that they have gotten away from. I think that Hunter has convinced Vince to get away from trying to pub NXT through those other 2 brands.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's like, look, if we can't build slowly on our channel 1 day a week and with takeovers, we can't jumpstart it, because what happens is when you take us and you put us on Raw and SmackDown's show, what you're kind of doing is you reduce us on Wednesdays when we're not on their show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think he wants to build slowly, establish his brand there, and it's okay. I don't think Hunter looks at it like Vince probably does, and I think that there is a continuous argument about whether or not it's really a war or whether or not we just need to do something productive on Wednesdays that tells our story. And if we do that for 2 to 3 years, USA's happy with us right now. They'll be real happy with us when we have another couple 100,000 people watching.
Yeah.
And at one time, you weren't making money off NXT at all. You were just losing money on it. And now you get to sell commercials for it. So you're making money off something you used to lose money on. Right? So just be cool is what I think is happening there. Now,
do we think that they're going to ever come back to Survivor Series or no?
Yeah.
That's my question.
I want them to, but I kind of doubt it.
I don't want them to.
Ooh.
I want them as far away from Raw and SmackDown as possible.
Dude,
understandable.
I get that, but dude, if you think Vince is gonna take any of them after Survivor Series, that's not...
Hear me out now. Hear me out, because this is the thing that happened last year. But the thing is, what made that last year so huge, and I know we're talking about this year, and I should stop gushing about last year, was because when you go to NXT, Becky Lynch is in the building, and then when you watch Raw, SmackDown, after the infamous Saudi pay-per-view where everyone was stuck on a plane we were talking about earlier, it was a big deal. Adam Cole is here now. Ciampa's fighting who now? The Miz? It was a huge thing. So I feel like it would be a really good benefit to put them on one pay-per-view on the main event, just so that way you can get more eyes on it. If you're I don't really know if I want NXT, I'm on Fox, but then you see all these bigger names. But that being said, if you want to grow your brand slowly but surely, get all these personalities going, and then maybe get them in later once you have a big enough audience. I understand that it's probably perhaps a more smarter move. So,
but either way,
this one was very, very good.
I thought the Asuka Sasha Banks match, I will watch that again when I'm trying to figure out what my top 10 matches of the year are. Mm-hmm. The Street Profits versus New Day match I absolutely loved. Mm-hmm. The storytelling of the Drew thing, even though I didn't particularly like the finish, was very good. Roman is killing it right now. And I really had a great time watching these last couple hours of wrestling and saying goodbye to Taker.
There was nothing bad about this pay-per-view at all.
And saying goodbye to the Gobbledygook.
My man got the 24/7 championship for a little bit.
Yes. R-Truth, 45-time champion in 3 months. Something like that.
My boy, whatever.
Now, look, guys. 4.
It's almost like the joke's getting old.
My man, Lit Nick.
What up?
For my man, go home, eat Kid Ray.
You're back. That was a...
I'm back, boys.
That was a very, very, very sad...
For me, KP, this is a copyright of Go Home Heat Production
You
2020.
100%.
Nick.
I haven't done so well. Hold on. Sorry. Go home, please. Thank you. Stay safe, everyone. Have a good day.